Lead of rescue ships launch last-ditch bid to find missing Titanic sub before crew's oxygen runs out at noon today. The mission to rescue the missing Titanic mini-sub is entering its final hours as sounds of banging from deep underwater raised hopes of a last-gasp miracle. A U.S. Navy KV-21 was among robot subs joining the last-ditch bid to find lost craft Titan in the Atlantic and winch it to the surface. Air keeping alive the 5 on board runs out at noon today. A fleet of rescue ships is racing against time to locate the sub. 5 specialist vessels backed by deep-sea robots and search and rescue aircraft were already combing a vast 15,000 square mile zone up to a depth of 2.5 miles. But their number was due to double before the air supply deadline at around noon UK time today. The late arrivals carrying the world's most advanced undersea search technology provide the best hope of an incredible last-gasp rescue. Experts hope they can end the needle in a haystack hunt near the liner's wreck, 12,500 feet under the North Atlantic. 5 people were on board the mini-sub Titan, which went missing on Sunday during a dive to view the Titanic. U.S. Coast Guard Captain Jamie Frederick yesterday confirmed deep-sea noises had been heard which were being analyzed by sonar experts to establish if they came from the 22-foot craft. He said, "There is an enormous complexity associated with this case, due to the location being so far offshore and the coordination between multiple agencies and nations. There were multiple reports of noises and every one of them is being analyzed. The noises have been described as banging noises. However, so far, Captain Frederick said the searches have yielded negative results. He said, "The noises were heard yesterday and this morning, experts are analyzing the data but at the moment it is inconclusive. We need to have hope. What I can tell you is we are searching in the right area. We have to remain optimistic and hopeful when we are in a search and rescue case." Carl Hartsfield, another expert involved in the search, told reporters it was very tough to discern what the noises were. He said, "We have multiple sensors in the area taking the data back to the best people in the world and feeding this back to the team so they can make decisions. They have to eliminate potential man-made sources other than the Titanic." Canada's CGS Anne Harvey, CGS Terry Fox, motor vessel Horizon Arctic and French research ship l'Atalante were all steaming at full speed to join the hunt before dawn. Sean Lee, the co-founder and chair of Horizon Maritime Services, the firm supplying Horizon Arctic, said he was dedicated to concluding the search. Sean said, "Our equipment is on scene and is helping with the investigation as directed by the U.S. Coast Guard. In addition to the Polar Prince, we have mobilized the Horizon Arctic to add vessel support for this mission. The people on board the Titan and their families are our focus, we care deeply about their well-being. Our critical role remains in a support capacity." Officials said the ship would have arrived sooner, but had to return to Newfoundland to retrieve deep-sea diving equipment. The l'Atalante carries the robot Victor 6000, which is capable of reaching depths of 20,000 feet. The robot can dive deeper than other equipment at the site. Operated by a 25-strong crew, it has arms that can be operated to cut cables or perform other maneuvers to release a stuck vessel. While the vehicle could not lift Titan to the surface on its own, it could help to hook it to a ship. A U.S. Navy KV-21 undersea robot was also due to arrive and was seen as the best chance of saving the crew if they are found alive. It can salvage wreckage and craft up to 20,000 feet down and last year pulled off a world record recovery of a Seahawk helicopter at a depth of 19,075 feet off Japan. Sonar teams hope they can detect the sub in the icy depths in time for the KV-21 to pull off a rescue. The unprecedented feat would involve the tethered deep-sea robot attaching its cable to the Titan in pitch darkness near the ocean floor. It would then need to pull the Ocean Gate Expedition Company's 10-ton craft aboard a U.S. Navy ship at breakneck speed. Even if the sub reaches the surface in time, crews will still have to unbolt the Titan's sealed titanium hull to free the 5. Former Royal Navy Rear Admiral Chris Perry said yesterday, "If anything can bring them up, it's this kit." British billionaire adventurer Hamish Harding, businessman Shahzada Dawood, 48, and his son Suleiman, 19, paid £200,000 a head for the trip. It was led by OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, 61 and veteran French explorer Paul-Henri Nargeolet, 77. Two of the trapped men's wives were on ships at the surface on Wednesday monitoring the operation. Canadian P-3 sonar search aircraft and Hercules transport planes were also helping efforts to scour the surface. 5 ships already in position included the Polar Prince, from which the Titan was launched. Rescuers' worst fear is that the 5 died instantly when their craft suffered catastrophic, explosive decompression. But hopes soared yesterday as it was reported that a Canadian P-3 detected banging noises at 30-minute intervals. That suggested the crew could have been striking the hull of their sub in a desperate bid to reveal their position. Chris Brown, 61, a friend of missing Hamish, 55, said, "If you made a continuous noise, that's not going to get picked up, but doing it every 30 minutes, that suggests humans." He said it was just the sort of thing I would have expected Hamish to come up with. The Sun told yesterday how Chris, of Harrogate, North Yorks, signed up for a dive but pulled out questioning if the firm running it was cutting corners. Experts warned many sounds would be heard as more ships joined the search, including noise from the creaking wreck of the Titanic, which sank in 1912, taking 1,517 lives. Communication was lost with the pound 200,000 ahead voyage just 1 hour 45 minutes into its 12,500 feet descent to the ruins of the Titanic on Sunday. The sub, called Titan, was due to resurface that afternoon but failed to do so, sparking a frantic rescue mission. But the vessel plunged with a 96-hour oxygen supply, meaning the 5 crew members on board likely have less than 20 hours of breathable air left. Rescue teams have, however, been offered a glimmer of hope after banging sounds were detected at 30-minute intervals. The sounds were detected in the area by a Canadian aircraft using sonar gear, though the U.S. Coast Guard did not elaborate on what rescuers believe the noises could be. Retired United States Navy Captain David Marquet told The Sun, "In the military we are trained to make rhythmic, metallic, or interval noises with will differentiated from natural recurring noise." Underwater drones have now been redeployed in a bid to locate where the thuds came from, but have so far yielded negative results. The U.S. Coast Guard said, Canadian P-3 aircraft detected underwater noises in the search area. As a result, ROV operations were relocated in an attempt to explore the origin of the noises. Those ROV searches have yielded negative results but continue. Additionally, the data from the P-3 aircraft has been shared with our U.S. Navy experts for further analysis, which will be considered in future search plans. Another aircraft located a white rectangular object in the water, but a ship sent to investigate changed course to look into the banging, CNN reported. But the U.S. official later it would be more accurate to describe it as sounds and noises rather than banging. U.S. Navy officials have also scrambled a so-called flyaway deep ocean SALAV system to the scene, which is able to lift small vessels. 3 support ships also arrived on Wednesday, including the John Cabot, which has side-scanning sonar capabilities and is conducting search patterns alongside the Scandi Vinland and the Atlantic Merlin, the U.S. Coast Guard said. Australian submarine search and rescue expert Frank Owen believes the banging sounds could suggest the sub is near or at the surface. He told the BBC, "On board this craft is a retired French Navy diver. He would know the protocol for trying to alert searching forces. On the hour and the half hour you bang like hell for 3 minutes. Below about 180 m, the water temperature drops very rapidly. That creates a layer that the bounces off. But if you're in the same depth water it tends to go quite straight." Scientist Michael Guillen believes the stranded crew could be using cups to bash the side of the sub. Dr. Guillen, who went to the Titanic wreck in 2000, told Good Morning Britain, "They have 5 people, they can make quite a racket by just banging on the side as sound communicates extremely well in water." Chris Brown, an explorer and friend of Mr. Harding, told BBC Breakfast the reported banging sounds has got them written all over it. He added it was just the sort of thing I would have expected Hamish to come up with. Chris, who signed up for a Titanic trip at the same time as his pal in 2016, pulled out of the Ocean Gate program over safety fears about the quality of equipment and material used. But he has also saluted his space tourist and explorer pal's coolness in a crisis, declaring he would do everything possible to survive. Chris said, If you made a continuous noise, that's not going to get picked up, but doing it every 30 minutes, that suggests humans. I'm sure they're all conserving oxygen and energy, because it's cold and dark down there. The passengers stuck on the sub alongside Mr. Harding are OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush, British-based Pakistani tycoon Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son Suleiman, and French diving expert Paul-Henri Nargeolet. Titan is understood to have lost contact with the Polar Prince just 1 hour and 45 minutes into the expedition. Every 15 minutes, Titan also sends pings to the Polar Prince. The final of these pings is understood to have been sent at around 11:30 am local time on Sunday, directly above the Titanic. After that, no contact was had with the vessel at all. The deepest successful underwater rescue in history was in 1973 when British engineers Roger Mallinson and Roger Chapman were saved after their submersible became trapped on the seabed at 1,575 feet. This operation would be 11,000 feet deeper. The Titanic sank on its maiden voyage to New York on April 14, 1912, after hitting an iceberg. More than 1,500 of the 2,200 passengers and crew on board were killed, and many died within minutes of being thrown into the -2 waters. The decaying wreck of the 822-feet liner was first discovered in 1985, but due to its depth and strong currents, even the best underwater cameras have only offered a small snapshot into its colossal